Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. And I know recently on my YouTube channel I've been focusing maybe on my opinion about things, and while that's been well received, I want to go back to basics, and that is talking about the gameplay and specifically what I'm thinking inside the battle. Whether you're going to be able to pick up a few tips or tricks from that, yeah, I'm not sure. Either way, I've loaded in here onto the new Polish map, Stojanki, in a tier 10 German heavy tank. It is the Panzer 7, and immediately what I'm thinking is tier 10 only matchup, so every tank has the same kind of capacity. Also, these kind of matches, they quite often only deviate around a single position, and I was thinking that that was going to be the central kind of power plant area that we see here on Stojanki. If you can make your way to that D6 area, what I love to do from here is to be able to put pressure up along the side of the map. If you hold the center, you not only can stop enemies from being able to push along here, or alternatively, give support to your allies along here. If you eventually either hold this position, you can get some real nice shots out at anyone who decides to push along the south, or alternatively, if you are able to push aggressively through to here, then you can do both from the same position. You can stop the hill, and you can also have a lovely location here to be able to get a real vantage point out against the enemy tanks. And so that's immediately what I was thinking. Now, when you're playing in the Panzer 7, you should be also thinking about, well, just get my frontal armor towards my opponents, right? Side scraping, sometimes not the best thing to do in this vehicle, because if you do side scrape, you leave there's a triangle on the side of the tank that becomes incredibly weak as well. Would have been really nice if somebody wasn't pushing into me there, because I might have been able to hit the FV405, but oh well, you win some and you lose some. So what I was talking about is when you side scrape in this tank, all of this area here becomes incredibly weak, especially to heat rounds. Literally, it's this kind of fighting compartment though. The central, where the turret is mounted on the hull, you can see the angle here. This triangle is just so easy to penetrate. And so what that often means is that I quite frequently put just the front of my hull around the corner in the Panzer 7 because it is incredibly thick. We're talking about 240 millimeters of just raw plate. And obviously when you angle that, it can go up to more like 300, 340 millimeters of effective armor, and even heat rounds are going to struggle to be able to contest that. Alright, so I decided to push around this corner aggressively because there's a huge glut of my team. Look at that. Pretty much the entirety of our team is in the same location. We don't have anyone towards the south. Now, I really wish we just had one or two tanks towards the south here, because they might be able to light up some of the targets that I'm spotting out here. Well, at least I think I'm the one spotting, but it might be the Object 277 behind me. Well, actually, considering that I've got some assistance damage there, it does mean that I'm at least spotting the T-57 Heavy for somebody. Alright, so the first round goes in. We could see that the front of this tank was very proficient at dealing with even heat rounds from the Object 430U. They're bouncing two of them, and two of the Object 277 armor-piercing rounds, and then the third AP round actually goes through the side of the vehicle, which means I was over-angling for the unspotted 277. Now that was a sweet shot there into the cupola of the tier 10 Chinese light tank. That WZ-1321 must be regretting that. I mean, he's got himself into a lovely aggressive location for spotting, but I just don't think he expected to have me in the Object 277 putting so much pressure on him. And this vehicle, its accuracy isn't bad for such a large caliber gun. It's .37. It's not incredible, but when you think you're packing 560 alpha damage with this gun, that's by no means terrible. Okay, so TVP in the distance. I'm thinking about blind firing him, but then I realized this vehicle packs a very poor rate of fire. Under 4 rounds a minute for 560 alpha at tier 10, 2100 base DPM, that's really not great. And so at the moment I'm just thinking, okay, type 5 heavy, don't want him to come around the corner and derp high explosive rounds into me, and just about locking down this position. You also see that I'm angling my armor as effectively as I can from multiple targets. This is going to be able to handle anyone there. Sorry, we missed the kill on the TVP. But as we can see, look, even heat rounds bouncing off the upper plate of this vehicle, and an M48 Patton tries to nail me from the side, but actually ricochets off the front of the armor. Maybe he was just trying to track me. Talking about tracking me, the Object 430U manages to, and now we see that the Object 277 is now firing heat rounds at me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing the tank back, and I'm going to use this mound to protect me while I'm going after this Object 907. Now, word of warning, I am firing APCR rounds here, and I will be firing a lot of them. This game is on a knife's edge, and the 258 millimeters of pen, well, that's great. It's not really going to handle an IS-7 from mid to long ranges. And oh, there we go, right into the 430U. Up into the I think that was maybe into the turret ring, or maybe just into the side armor there. And 607 damage is not to be. Well, he regrets that very much, and I don't. I'm very happy about dealing that to a tier 10 tank. Alright, so the IS-4, I think he felt like his team had an advantage on this flank, but instead I'm going to put some pressure up on him, and immediately I'm thinking about not bouncing the IS-4 necessarily, but trying to bounce all of his friends. You'll see that when he was about to fire, I jinked my armor to the left there to increase the effectiveness of my hull armor, and he bounces off me, so I don't take any damage from that IS-4, and yet I was able to put a good old slug into him, and then my team were able to finish him off. Alright, so I'm still dealing with this Object 430U and also the IS-7 at long range, and I'm actually quite happy because that IS-4 has given me even better protection. Alright, that was the worst shot of the game. I was expecting the mouse to keep coming forwards, and I really wanted to track him. I wanted to shoot through that front drive sprocket there and be able to take the wheel off, well, not the wheel off, but take the tracks off the vehicle, lock him in place, because, oh, that would have been juicy. If we'd locked that mouse down, all of my friends would have been able to kill him. And so I was trying to preempt the front wheel on that vehicle, and unfortunately that's not going for the safe damage. And so when he stopped, I missed the shot. I don't manage to quite give the lead, but I think it was worth the risk, because if I tracked him there and maybe one of my allies had as well, that'd be 3,000 hit points. Sure, I guess I missed the 560 on average. This 277 is really giving it to me. I'm actually quite surprised that round managed to go into my vehicle, and I'm trying to wonder how that one went into my tank. Maybe he just got a high roll on the side of my vehicle there. Maybe I was over-angling. And I figure out, well, I can't hang around here any longer, because while I have bounced nearly 6,000 damage this game, I don't really want to take too many more hits. So you'll see that I aim at the weak point of the side of the Type 5 Heavy there. If he's over-angling, well, it's not really a weak point, it's the same thickness as the front, but when he's over-angling, that actually means that that's the flattest plate on the tank, and so we're easily able to go through the front of it. But he deals a whopping 506 damage to me with his high explosive rounds, and now we're going to have a duel against another Tier 10 German heavy tank. The mouse starts on full hit points, although, you know, I am firing premium rounds, but so is the mouse, so I guess it's a fair fight if we're both firing premium rounds, right? So I'm trying to bait the front of my tank around the corner. I really want him to shoot the front of my tank, and it sounds like the mouse actually missed, so I get to come around the corner, aim at his cheeks, snapshot in his cheeks, and we're slowly whittling him down and putting him on a level playing field. We've got 577 hit points left, which should mean that I can take 2 hits from him. I'm going to have to shoot him another 3 times with good rolls if I want to take him out. So I'm going forwards and backwards, and oh, a bit of a choke shot there. I actually shoot the mantlet of the vehicle rather than the cheeks. Definitely not what I wanted, but luckily the mouse bounces off my well-angled frontal tank as well, and it doesn't look like the enemies are knowledgeable about when I'm angling like this, where the weak point of the tank is, and that's right on the side, as we can see here. Alright, so it looks like the mouse has second thoughts about fighting a duel against this Panzer VII, and so he backs right off. Now I ping the side of the map because if we could get a medium tank over here, can you imagine how beneficial it would be for our team? If we can get a medium tank over into this location, the medium tank is probably going to be able to spot out to see if there's any artillery along here. He's going to be able to spot the 405, and he's going to have side shots all the way along here. And they just completely ignore me. The Leopard runs away, the K91 runs away, and they basically leave me to deal with a bunch of vehicles here. Now luckily I do get 1 shot into the IS-7 and a second follow-up shot there, but now it looks like that's that Object 277 who was harassing me for so long. So I go forward, I'm trying to use this wreck to try and make this Object 277's life awkward. Now he's got 490 alpha, so I should be able to tank at least 1 shot from him. I mean, I don't want to take the damage, but there you go, right into the back with a heat round. Now I decide to back off because my medium tanks are basically letting me die here, and I have to admit, at the time I was rather annoyed about the Leopard and the K91 that they decided to run away from, I think, a very easily winnable game. That K91 at the moment is on 2/3 of his hit points, could have easily gone up into this location or over here and been able to win this game just straight up. So a bit of a shocker there. Somehow we don't manage to go through the side of the 277's armor as well as tracking him, but we've still got 59 hit points, and I'm just trying to slow him down right now. Okay, well, the Leopard seems to be getting a bit of redemption here, as the Leopard does manage to get a couple more shots, and I try to shoot the 277 again after he tracks me, and it looks like I hit the gun of this IS-7 who's raised it in such an awkward location. And so, definitely not the best fight for me here against this 277, but luckily the resilience of the Panzer VII is keeping me in the fight. When you choke a shot in the Panzer VII, it just feels absolutely punishing because of the 4 DPM of the vehicle. And I don't even know where that shot went. Where does that shot go? Does that go right underneath the Object 277? Or did I hit the gun of the IS-7 in front of me? And I'm just hoping this 405 misses me. Try and keep him just out of harm's way. Well, me out of harm's way for a little bit longer to be able to keep our team in it. And there you go. There's the shot that we wanted. We put one into the side of the 277, hopefully locking him in place for our artillery, or this K91 who's basically tried to get as far away from the fight as possible. Alright, well I finally fall to the 277, but it's not without a good amount of spotting there and 7,600 damage and nearly 8,000 blocked. Now I could have done some more here, there's no doubt. If I'd aimed a little better. This was right at the end of the evening, I think, of a Thursday stream or maybe a Tuesday stream last week, and I definitely wasn't playing my best, but still, we'll have to see in the post-game stats to see what kind of a result is it. So, I've held the center. I'm really annoyed at what that K91 has decided to do with basically playing a far too passive game while I'm still alive. Now, I completely understand going long range when you're playing in a K91. I mean, it is a support vehicle. It's got great camouflage. It's got incredible DPM. That's where the vehicle is suited. And it's solid that the K91 now takes down the mouse. But don't you feel that he could have probably made use of those 3 minutes that I was left tanking all of those vehicles a little bit more? I was the one who shot down the M48 as he drove across the dip. If the K91 had either been up in the hills at the A56 area or alternatively gone to the C1 area where I'd been pinging for the entire game, I think he would have probably been able to win this game outright already. Nevertheless, K91 and an artillery versus an Object 277 who's now down to 264 hit points and an FV4 005 with the artillery shell down to 684. So that should mean that the K91 can take out the FV4 005 in 3 shells if he decides to fire APCR, or maybe in 2 high explosive rounds if somebody chooses to pack those rounds in one of these tanks. And a lot of people don't even pack high explosive rounds in a K91 because you probably want to be taking a few more heat rounds. And talking about heat rounds, or alternatively, I'm not sure what that was that hit the Object 277, but it shuts him down. Good shot there. And now the K91 has turned this into a 1 versus 2. But again, I would argue that this is a 1 versus 2 that could have easily been prevented by playing with me, the Leopard, and the Type 5 Heavy earlier on. And considering those are the first 2 kills that the K91 has picked up this game, we're going to have to take a look in the post-game stats to see if they're on, say, 6,000 damage already, right? If they've been involved in the game, if they've been going into the action. It's incredibly frustrating to see evidently good players, because of the clan that this player is in, playing in top-tier Soviet medium tanks and playing that passive line while you have been sweating in the middle of the map, blocking so much damage in your heavies for so long. Alright, so if I was the K91, what would I be thinking right now? Alright, well, probably can't find the artillery, and even if I go over the artillery, it might be a little bit dangerous that I get spotted and the FV405 shoots me. So clearly the best play right now is just to go after this FV405. Now the wall should be able to protect him here. The wall will protect him from a high explosive round. And so, you know, right now, good shot into the FV405, just simply back off, hope the artillery doesn't hit, try and get out of camo, well, try and get out of the view range of the FV405 because of the good camo of the K91, and should be absolutely fine. But you've got to think about getting in there now, right? Because there's 2 minutes left. So immediately you want to turn right. You want to go here. You want to finish the FV405. The worst thing that the K91 could do now would be to allow the FV405 to re-stealth, reposition, and then the ambush shot would be off there. Okay, well, maybe the K91 is thinking, all right, you know what? Instead, I'll pressure the cap circle. And if I pressure the cap circle in the next 1 minute and 40 seconds, at least they have to come to me, right? That's what I would be thinking. All right, FV405 spotted. Does it manage to spot the K91? It doesn't. Oh, wow, I didn't see the Sixth Sense go off there. Is the K91 spotted the entire time? Or maybe Sixth Sense just doesn't go off multiple times for when you're viewing in this kind of a mode. Alright, so artillery spotted on the right there. K91 puts a shot into the FV405. 1 minute 30 left on the game. I would be thinking right now that I have to rush one of these tanks. You have to rush one of these tanks. You have to rush the artillery, actually, in this situation. You have to go after the artillery. You have to make a beeline towards the artillery. It's your only chance to be able to win this. If you don't, then how are you meant to find 2 tanks with 1 minute left on the game? I mean, the K91 can take a high explosive round if it doesn't penetrate from the 405, at least the majority of the times right now. And it can also take a splash from the artillery if the artillery turns around. But the artillery's got a reload, right? A 30-second reload. Why in hell's name did this K91 not just rush the artillery? Okay, well, how's the K91 now meant to take on 2 tanks with 50 seconds left on the game? It's getting really frustrating for me to watch this, even as a post-game commentary, ladies and gents, that there are players out there who just seemingly just don't want to try and win the game after you've been sweating in it Okay. Anyway, let's just focus on what maybe the K91 can do right now. Trying to find this FE4005. Okay, there's the FE4005. All right. Well, now there's no point in going after the FE4005, right? Because you can't win with 20 seconds left on the game. And you're not going to kill the Conqueror as well. So now the K91 decides to drive at the FE4005? Why would you drive at the FE4005 now? You're basically giving the FE4005 a chance to win the game outright. You've played so passively that you can no longer win the game. Why would you go after the FE405? Surely the better play would be to stay in the ridge line over there to secure a draw. That's awkward. Awkward for me. I felt really let down at the end of this game. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's just me wearing my emotions on my sleeve or whatever. That kind of pressure situation in the middle. Look at this graveyard of heavy tanks. I'm not gonna say that I created them necessarily, but we did enough damage and spotting to take out at least 4 of the tier 10s by ourselves. And while we do get a consolation prize of an ace tanker in a draw here for our Panzer 7, because we get courageous resistance for nailing a Confederate and a high caliber for that 7,600 damage, I can't help but feel a little bit frustrated that we couldn't come together as a team and take this one down. Nevertheless, this was still a cracking game of World of Tanks. This one definitely got my pulse racing, and I hope it did yours as well. I must highlight that I only just broke even on credits from playing this round because I did fire a lot of premium rounds, but it's not every day that you're packing 7,600 damage and nearly 8k blocked in a tier 10 game. Anyway, ladies and gents, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, out of the 455 of you voted, most of you have voted for the tier 10 German medium tank and one of the most popular tier 10 vehicles in the game. It is the Leopard 1. Now, this is also one of the tier 10 tanks with the lowest win ratio, so while we'll have to see how it goes, maybe I can demystify the tech tree a little bit. And if you've never been to one of my tech tree showcases before, they're basically like miniature tank reviews starting from tier 1 up to tier 10, so you can see if it's a line that's worth grinding, or if you've already got the vehicles, maybe pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. So I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.